Namaste dosto, welcome back to the channel, and for those of you who are new, I'm your name. Guys, have you ever stopped and thought about how much we rely on technology these days? It's crazy, but here's the thing, the more we depend on the digital world, the more vulnerable we become to cyber attacks. And trust me, you do not want to be caught slipping in this digital age. That's why, in this video, we're diving deep into the top 10 cyber attacks that you absolutely need to know about. We're talking about the kind of stuff that can wreak havoc on your digital life, stealing your data, hijacking your accounts, and basically turning your online experience into a nightmare. But don't worry, we're not just going to scare you with all the bad stuff. We're also going to arm you with the knowledge you need to protect yourself. Consider this your crash course in cybersecurity, because by the end of this video, you'll be well equipped to spot these threats and keep your digital life safe and sound. So buckle up, smash that like button, and let's get started. First up, let's talk about malware. You guys know I love a good analogy, so picture this. Malware is like a digital virus. It's sneaky, it's malicious, and it can really mess up your system. We're talking about things like viruses, worms, Trojan horses, all those nasty little programs that can infect your files and spread like wildfire. And here's the scary part. Some malware is designed to stay hidden, silently stealing your data in the background while you have no clue what's going on. We're talking about keyloggers that record every keystroke you make. Passwords, credit card info, the whole shebang, and spyware that tracks your every move online. And then there's ransomware, which is like the digital equivalent of a hostage situation. It basically takes your data hostage and demands a ransom, usually in cryptocurrency, to get it back. Not cool, right? But here's the thing, knowledge is power, and knowing your enemy is half the battle. So stay tuned, because in the next chapter, we're going to dive into some real-world examples of malware attacks and show you how to protect yourself. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Alright, so we've talked about malware, but what about network attacks? These are a whole different beast, and they can be even scarier because they often target businesses and organizations. Imagine this, you're sending sensitive information over the internet. Maybe it's your credit card details or some confidential work files, but what you don't know is that there's a hacker lurking on the network, intercepting your data like a digital eavesdropper. This is called a man-in-the-middle attack, and it's just one example of how hackers can exploit vulnerabilities in networks to steal your information. Then there's sniffing, which is basically like using a digital stethoscope to listen in on network traffic and capture unencrypted data packets. And let's not forget about DDoS attacks, where hackers flood a server with so much traffic that it crashes, taking down websites and online services. But don't worry, we're not going to leave you hanging. In the next chapter, we'll show you how to beef up your network security and protect yourself from these digital attacks. Stay tuned. Alright folks, let's get real for a second. Sometimes the weakest link in cybersecurity isn't your software or your hardware, it's you. And that's where social engineering comes in. This is where hackers use psychological manipulation to trick you into giving up sensitive information or granting them access to your systems. Think of it like this. A hacker sends you an email that looks like it's from your bank, asking you to update your login credentials. You click on the link without thinking twice and bam, you've just handed over your banking information to a cybercriminal. That's phishing, my friends. And it's one of the most common forms of social engineering. But it doesn't stop there. There's also spear phishing, where hackers target specific individuals with highly personalized emails. And then there's vishing and smishing, which use phone calls and text messages to trick you into giving up your personal information. The good news is that with a little bit of awareness and some healthy skepticism, you can avoid falling victim to these scams. Alright, so we've talked about malware, network attacks, and social engineering. But what happens when hackers already have their hands on your login credentials? That's where credential attacks come in, and these can be some of the most difficult to prevent. One common method is brute force attacks, where hackers use automated software to try every possible combination of characters until they crack your password. Then there are dictionary attacks, which use lists of common passwords to try and gain access to your accounts. And let's not forget about credential stuffing, where hackers use leaked credentials from other data breaches to try and access your accounts on different websites. The key to defending against credential attacks is to use strong, unique passwords for all of your accounts. And I know remembering a million different passwords is a pain. But trust me, it's a lot less painful than dealing with the aftermath of a successful credential attack. So, we've talked about a lot of different types of cyber attacks so far, but let's not forget about web application attacks. These attacks target websites and web applications, and they can be just as dangerous as any of the others we've discussed. One common type of web application attack is SQL injection, where hackers inject malicious code into database queries to gain unauthorized access to sensitive data. Then there's cross-site scripting, or XSS, where hackers inject malicious scripts into websites to steal cookies, hijack user sessions, or even deface websites. And let's not forget about cross-site request forgery, or CSRF, where hackers trick users into performing actions on websites without their knowledge or consent. The good news is that there are ways to protect yourself from web application attacks. Using strong passwords, keeping your software up to date, and being aware of the websites you visit can go a long way in keeping you safe online. Alright folks, we've covered a lot of ground so far, but there's one more type of cyber attack that we need to talk about: insider threats. These attacks come from within an organization, and they can be particularly devastating because they often involve someone abusing their authorized access to steal data, sabotage systems, or disrupt operations. Think about it. A disgruntled employee who's about to be fired might decide to take revenge by deleting important files or stealing sensitive customer data. Or maybe a well-meaning but careless employee accidentally clicks on a phishing link, giving hackers a foothold into the company's network. Insider threats can be tricky to prevent because they often involve people you trust. But there are things organizations can do to mitigate the risk, like implementing strong access controls, monitoring employee activity, and providing security awareness training. Okay guys, let's talk about the stuff that keeps cybersecurity professionals up at night: zero-day attacks. These are attacks that exploit vulnerabilities in software that are unknown to the developers, meaning there's no patch available yet. It's like trying to fight a ghost. You know it's there, but you can't see it or touch it. Zero-day attacks are particularly dangerous because they can be incredibly difficult to detect and prevent. Since the vulnerability is unknown, traditional security tools are often useless against them. It's like trying to stop a bullet with a sheet of paper. It's just not going to happen. So what can you do to protect yourself? Well, the best defense is to keep your software up to date. Developers are constantly releasing patches and updates to fix vulnerabilities, so make sure you're installing them as soon as possible. Alright, let's talk about drive-by download attacks. These are like the ninjas of the cyber attack world. Silent, stealthy, and deadly. Here's how they work. You're browsing the web, minding your own business, when bam, you stumble upon a compromised website. But here's the kicker: you don't even have to click on anything. Just visiting the website is enough to trigger a download of malicious software onto your device. It's like walking through a minefield. One wrong step and boom, you're infected. Drive-by download attacks often exploit vulnerabilities in your web browser or its plugins. So how do you protect yourself? First, keep your browser and plugins up to date. Second, be careful about the websites you visit. And third, consider using a reputable security suite that includes web protection features. Alright folks, let's talk about supply chain attacks. These attacks are like something out of a spy thriller. They target an organization by compromising a third-party vendor or supplier. Think of it like this. You have a fortress, and you've spent years fortifying it with the latest security measures. But what you don't realize is that there's a secret tunnel leading into your fortress, and it runs right through your trusted supplier's backyard. That's a supply chain attack, exploiting the trust between organizations to gain access to their systems. One of the most famous examples of a supply chain attack is the SolarWinds hack, where hackers compromised a software update from SolarWinds, a major IT management software company, to gain access to the networks of thousands of organizations worldwide. Alright folks, let's talk about the Internet of Things, or IoT for short. We're talking about all those smart devices that are connected to the internet: smart TVs, smart refrigerators, smart thermostats, even smart light bulbs. It's pretty amazing when you think about it, but it also opens up a whole new world of cyber threats. See, many IoT devices are designed with convenience in mind, not security. They often have weak passwords, outdated software, and poor security practices. And because they're connected to the internet, they become prime targets for hackers. Imagine this. A hacker gains access to your smart security camera. Now they have eyes inside your home. Or they could hack into your smart thermostat and crank up the heat to an unbearable level, just for kicks. Not so smart now, is it? So there you have it, folks. The top 10 cyber attacks you absolutely need to know about. It's a scary world out there. But the good news is that knowledge is power. By understanding the threats and taking some basic precautions, you can significantly reduce your risk of becoming a victim. Remember to keep your software up to date, use strong passwords, be wary of suspicious emails and websites, and think twice before clicking on anything. And if you're ever unsure about something, don't hesitate to reach out to a cybersecurity professional for help. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more informative videos on cybersecurity and beyond. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next one.